Shalom, Yashrala. It's your brother Double Dot from GMS Tampa Bay 07, coming at you with this here truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praise unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakha, Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that taught me this truth and that rule well. A salutation and much love for you, I can pushing this truth and sincerity on the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed the elect, alright? To edify and feed the elect, alright? All throughout the spirit, just reading the spirit of the times we in, is part of the prophecies that's crying out right now is these war drums, all right? So, really we want to just add on to the prior lessons because it's all in one and the same, as the build up to World War III as we, march down the road to World War III, It says, a good satellite does what it's told. U.S. warns Turkey and other allies against buying Russian S-400, and there's another article, I'm not sure if I'll put that one up or not, but, America's basically also threatening India, with sanctions, over the S-400, as we, in one of the prior lessons, India is already pretty much inking deals for that, all right, as Turkey, all right. It says, once again, warning Turkey against buying Russian S-400 air defense systems, all right, and it's not to be like a beating a dead horse here, but, like the scriptures say is, it's going to be like the travailing of the birth pains, the contractions is getting closer and closer, That's why these stories is hitting back to back to back to back to back, and, you gotta move with the spirit, you can't have no, how do I say, a cookie cutter type of, or a formulated type of thing, man. You gotta move with the spirit, man, there's no need to try to rush or force the spirit, Hey, the Lord has his time and his things, his ways of going, but nevertheless, these prophecies are speaking, and that's just, how do I say, the lane that we in right now. So that's what we covering right now. All right. That's what's important in front of us right now. All right. But just to further go into this point, the reason that these stories are coming out back to back to back to back, it's not just, why you just keep reading the same, articles. They're not the same articles. These things are intensifying. You seeing the back and forth going back and forth, back and forth. All right. These stories are becoming so-called real life now. All right. Prior to this, there would be a lot of people that would call it so-called conspiracy theories. Oh, you guys are always talking about this. You guys are what do they call it? You guys are spewing fear porn. You guys are just, you guys are always thinking of the negative. Like, no, well, that's not true. Now, it's not, your regular everyday guys on the internet or your Alex Joneses and things like that that's talking about these stories and things like this is coming up. This is your mainstream media, well, not really here in America, but this is like, how do I say, international news, this is, being broadcast to the world, and it's coming out more and more and more and more, to let you know what time we in, So continuing on, it says, once again, all right, that's why I said they just constantly building on this. All right, it says, once again, warning Turkey against buying Russian S-400 air defense system. The U.S. State Department has gone a step further to virtually threaten all its NATO and other allies with sanctions should they consider a similar deal. All right. So, give me 1 second. It says, nevertheless, continuing on into the lesson, America's basically threatening all their allies. All right. Everybody basically. All right, what you have is two sides, all right? You got, Russia in the conglomeration that's falling up under Russia, all right? And then you have the American side, basically, all right? But now the American side is starting to crumble in on itself, okay? And everybody else is going and is running over to the Russian side, all right? Alienating the Americans, more or less to say, all right? And over these little deals here. So, overall in the end, Esau is going, or these American Edomites, all right, going to be left out there bare, all right? So it says, I got some crazy shit popping off around me right at the moment, but it says, noting that the ahead of schedule S-400 deliveries to Turkey would be another concern for the U.S., the State Department Heather Nauert stressed that Washington rejects other nations' plans to diversify their defense system supplies. All right, this is just the hypocrisy of these damn Edomites here. These Babylonians here. You how you gonna tell another sovereign nation, what they can and can't do if they can and can't diversify their portfolios and their profile, or what they got. You telling these people what kind of weapons they can and can't get. Last I checked, these were sovereign nations, and the one we're talking about now is Turkey. It don't say United States of America. All right, they got their own president, Erdogan. Erdogan. All right, not Donald J. Trump. All right, two different people popping. All right, so it says earlier this week, Robertson Export confirmed that the first batch of launchers will be transferred in Ankara in 2019. So they talking about they threatening them. Like, bro, it's already on it. It's already in motion. First and foremost, this is the plan and the will of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. All right, this ain't the will of man. Where you can persuade them like in the past with your witchcraft and in this how does the scripture say, the wine of your fornication. You have everybody drunk under your bullshit ass wine, but that's no more right now. Everybody's waking up. They sobering up to the bullshit that you was on, and they starting to see. All right. It says, it goes against our policy to have a NATO ally such as Turkey use the S-400 system. Part of the problem with that is that it's not interoperable with other NATO systems, Noor said, and so we are against having some of our partners and allies around the world potentially purchase S-400. All right. So, well, it'll further get into it. This says the spokeswoman noted that the U.S. has already made it very clear what could trigger sanctions for other countries and entities around the world if they go ahead buying the Russian systems. So first and foremost, who is America to sit here and threaten all these other nations like that? If any nation on the planet Earth do such and such, we gonna come down on you and there's no place you can hide. Who gave America that authority? All right. This is like the scriptures say, the earth was given into the hand of the wicked. All right. And basically you seeing his policy being enacted around the world. All right. It says, the so-called Countering American Adversaries Through Sanctions Act. All right. Which is some like that's some pure a ball of wickedness right there, all in itself. Like, yo, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, we gonna go and smash on everybody else. But if we got a law that if anybody try to retaliate or stand up against it or try to stand up for themselves or defend themselves, then we got laws saying that we justify for just straight up dominating your ass, nuking your ass. What kind of shit is that? That's like just running up on somebody, or you in a boxing match, right? That's like Floyd Mayweather fighting anybody for the championship in his record, but saying like, look, if anybody ever lay hands on him or touch him in any kind of way or fashion, they're gonna be sued out the ass and they're gonna go to jail. But how can you have a boxing match? You know what I'm saying? Like that's not fair. You see what I'm saying? In a boxing match is a physical contact sport, where y'all in combat. All right. You can't put laws around, you know what I'm saying, me not physically contacting you in a combat style sport. That would just be ridiculous. All right. It says Turkey and the U.S. are currently seeing a soaring bilateral soaring of bilateral relations, Slovakia, which on the surface revolved around the fate of Pastor Andrew Brunson, whom Ankara refuses to surrender to the U.S. Brunson, a U.S. citizen who has resided in Turkey for over 2 decades, was arrested on terrorism and espionage charges as part of Ankara's probe into the 2016 failed military coup. He's facing up to 35 years in prison if convicted. Now, dealing with these is actually 2 different dudes. Right? Well, it's actually a lot more than these people. All right, they only really mention like one person. All right, but we're going to speak about 2 different people here. There's a guy in America and then there's a guy in Turkey. All right, and long story short, and they actually kind of spilled the beans in this here article by saying he was suspected of espionage. That's what he's wanted for espionage. All right, well, yeah, basically espionage is spying. You know what I'm saying? But and I believe that espionage is the female way of saying like you a spy. But nevertheless, these are basically like CIA or whatever Turkey's intelligence agency is. You know what I'm saying, like that. But these are their spies, or their agents. That's why these people are so important. You know damn well America don't give a fuck about no pastor. You know what I'm saying? Well, they care about their pastors, the ones that's over at Jake Church, but rocking them to sleep. But other than that, they don't really give a damn about no damn pastor. These guys are like the article says, spies. You know, they set there to overthrow governments. You know, they set there as moles, plants. You know what I'm saying? To stir up uprising. That's where you see that military coup that happened in Turkey happen. You know, where America was trying to just fully hijack and take over that country. Same with what they doing in Venezuela. All right, spreading their propaganda and their bullshit. You know, but nevertheless, America got one of Turkey's over here. All right. But, you know, they ramp it up as if these people are just both pastors or something like that, you know. It says President Recep Tayyip Erdogan over recent weeks repeatedly accused the White House of waging an economic war against the country, with the lira witnessing a massive drop against the dollar after the introduction of sanctions against Turkey's steel and aluminum imports. And how you do a friend like that? You know, oh, we friends, we allies. You supposed to be our boys, buy our weapons. Why you trying to buy from them? Like, bitch, you got sanctions on me right now, man. You making it hard for me to make money in my own country. You know what I'm saying? Friends don't do that to friends. But at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? Like the scriptures say, hey, causes all who would not worship the beast should be put to death. All right? That's what you see going on. Hey, whoever don't want to abide by, and it's really not really the beast, because this is part of the beast going against, not to say the beast, but it's going against America. All right? You got the whole beast going against America, all right? Because, like the scripture also say, man, the beast shall hate the whore and burn her with fire, all right? So that's what you starting to see now, all right? You starting to see, you starting to see this here division, this here collapse, all right? You starting to see the beast starting to, you know, slowly fall. Well, they're not gonna really fall apart, but you see them starting to slowly make they divide from how do I want to put this? They're not necessarily saying they divide them from NATO, because how do I say, in a carnal sense, to be politically correct, is fucking U.S. NATO, like the U.S. led NATO. It's not really those other countries, but they actually make up the majority, you know. But really what you're seeing happening is they kicking America out, all right? That's what the scriptures talk about. Basically, the beast shall hate the whore and burn her with fire, all right? The beast, which the whore is riding upon, all right? That military wing that it's got, all right? That's the majority of their might is what? The beast, NATO. All right, the EU, the conglomeration, but they are starting to hate America. All right, it says an Ankara, who repeatedly defended its sovereign right to buy weapons from any supplier once, and which all nations should. All right, because they're free and independent. All right, again, asking the question: who is America to tell them they can't? Does America own Turkey? All right, it says the U.S. in turn had been twisting an Ankara's arm, threatening to halt the delivery of the F-35 stealth fighters, claiming Turkey's human rights record wasn't clean enough. The data collected by the S-400s may potentially expose the jet's vulnerabilities. This is the real reason why. Because, let me read that again. It says, and the data collected by the S-400 may potentially expose the jet vulnerabilities. That's the whole reason why it's a big deal for these other countries to have this S-400 system paired alongside that, really just that, you know what I'm saying? It's just going to expose the weaknesses, all right? And plus, America wants these other nations to buy this F-35, which I went into in a previous video, or the importance of that. It was actually a video on the Russian Su-57. But if you can understand what that plane does, that's basically the same shit that the F-35 is, all right? And that's what America want, and they want all their allies to have this same fucking AI plane. Well, America ain't even really on that level to get that shit popping like that, because they plane is on some bullshit. But nevertheless, this is the real reason why. But it also says that the U.S. in turn had been twisting an Ankara's arm, threatening to halt the delivery of F-35 stealth fighters. In reality, they twisting Turkey's arm to buy these shits. Turkey don't want to buy the shit. All right, they not like, yo, man, look, we know this such a good deal, and y'all begging for this shit, but hey, man, we ain't gonna sell you the shit if you don't stop fucking around. It's really like, no, listen, nigga, we don't want to buy your shit. If we want anything, we gonna go to Russia for. Y'all planes is bullshit and don't work anyway. If we wanted planes, we go get them from Russia. All right. So continuing on, it says the actual issue is not about inoperability between Russia and NATO systems. Like I said, it's not like, you know, I mean, it is the fact that they don't want them to have this shit for the soft spot, but it's not like they say that they ain't gonna work together, but that's not the purpose. They wouldn't even work together to begin. They not built to work together. One is built to defend itself against the other one. You know what I'm saying? They like each other. It's like the fucking body armor versus the bullet. You see what I'm saying? The bullet is meant to kill somebody, shoot through somebody, kill them like that. You know what I'm saying? The body armor is supposed to stop all that. You know what I'm saying? So, but you can't have like a goddamn, that at the same time. One is set to offset the other one. You see what I'm saying? So it says, yeah, but again, touching on this, like, yeah, again, who is America to tell other sovereign nations what they can and can't do? All right, it says the actual issue is not about the inoperability between the Russian and the NATO systems, but about the U.S. struggling to maintain its sphere of influence. All right. Speaking of, are thou become as weak as we? All right. Lucifer, how art thou fallen from heaven? How art thou fallen from heaven, Lucifer, O son of the morning? You see what I'm saying? That pomp is brought down to the ground. You know, the worm is covered you. You know, your infrastructure and all your bullshit is crumbling. All your shit ain't worth shit. You know, your money ain't worth shit, and everybody ditching you on every side. All right, like as we speak, real time. Like this shit is like literally going live. You know what I'm saying? Over the last couple weeks, man. It says, continuing on, it says, it's not the actual issue is not about the inoperability between Russian and NATO systems, but about the U.S. struggling to maintain its sphere of influence, or how's the hammer of the earth cut asunder. All right, America's losing their hegemony over these other countries. They straight dominance. All right, it says former U.S. diplomat Jim Jardis told RT, the problem with this is not really inoperability. Jardis told RT, there are many countries that procure military equipment from a number of different sources, which they should be able to. All right, like your government telling you, look, not saying you should be doing none of this shit. It's just an example. Like your government tell you, look, nigga, you can only eat at McDonald's. You can't eat at Burger King. Like, well, why can't I choose like McDonald's, Burger King, KFC, Taco Bell, whatever, whatnot? You know what I'm saying? It's supposed to be a free country. Who are you to tell me I can and can't eat at these places? If you are somebody to tell me that, I got to question my freedom. Am I really free and sovereign as an individual to make my own choices? Or am I under your authority? All right. And if I'm under your authority, how did that become so? I was once a sovereign unit. All right. And that's the same thing these countries is like. Yo, man, hold up. How you telling me I can't eat at the Burger King or the McDonald's, buy from here or there? Why I got to only buy from your store? You see what I'm saying? Am I really a sovereign country, or do you own me? All right. Again, I'm not promoting none of them restaurants. You know what I'm saying? Don't be simple. That's some bullshit. But as an analogy, you can understand. It says, we do not really have allies. We have satellites, and good satellites do what it's told. And if it does not want to behave like a good satellite, then we pull out a big stick and threaten them. I think sanction happy is exactly the right word to describe coercive U.S. policies, Jardis stressed. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, man, like I said, man, this is all spiritual. This is the Lord speaking to us through these here prophecies, or through these articles, telling us the prophecies through these articles. He wrote it down in the scriptures, and we read those and recite those all the time. We just keep reading them over and over and over again. But now he's planting those same scriptures into these articles and coming forth. Like I said beforehand, it was so-called conspiracy theorists, and there wasn't no so-called official stories on none of these things. But now you having it. It says, you know what I'm saying? And this is going live in front of the world. America is kind of refuting, some of it. Well, not to say refuting some of this stuff, but they pushing a cross propaganda. You see what I'm saying? But at the same time, why are they really doing that? Because it's a real threat. They trying to stop the truth from going out. It says we do not really have allies. All right. Yeah, they don't have allies. They don't have partners. All right. That's what they're saying. We don't have partners. All right. We have satellites. And so it says we don't really have allies, or we don't have equals. We don't have partners. We have satellites, or we have slaves. All right. We got niggas subservient to us. People up under us. All right. Servants. And it says, and a good servant, satellite, or slave does what is told. And if it does not want to behave like a good satellite, all right, if you don't want to worship the image of the beast, then we pull out a big stick and threaten them that they should be put to death. All right. I think sanction happy is exactly the right word to describe coercive U.S. policies, Jardis stressed. And sanctions is kind of worse than the goddamn full-on hot war, really, because that's a slow death, man. Just like in ancient times, what are they really doing? They encompassing the city and cutting off the trade route, cutting off the water supply, cutting off the the food supply, all right, cutting off the import-export routes, all right. But how are they doing that? By raising the prices and putting taxes on it at this point in time, all right. It says Turkey is not the only country that is being pressured by Washington because of plans to purchase the S-400. U.S. lawmakers have been threatening sanctions against India if New Delhi goes ahead with the $5.7 billion deal to purchase 5 units. India, just like Turkey, remains committed to its deal, which is expected to be announced by the end of the year. All right, in which, like I said, there was an article that just came out that's basically saying the same, not the same thing, but basically that India didn't ink the deal. They're just waiting on delivery now. You see what I'm saying? So, you know what I mean? We in these times, you know what I'm saying, where, hey man, these prophecies is crying out day after day after day, and they all linking up back to back to back to back to back to back to back, telling you one whole story. Like when you put all this stuff together, you see what the Most High is telling you. Hey, look, war right there. The soldiers is encamped around the city. All right. Well, we're gonna go ahead and close out with that. Lord willing is here. News update was edifying unto the elect. Until next time, I say call halal Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shah, Bahashim, Racha Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that taught me this truth and that rule well. And salutation and much love for you. I can push this truth and sincerity on the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. All right. And until next time, I say stay strong. Shalom.